Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Elite and today we are going to be discussing something more on the interesting side. So as many of you in the Warhammer community probably know, there was a reveal show on the weekend, or weekend for me, and we got a bunch of new Horus Heresy custodes models, and they look pretty sick, but there's one big thing that everyone on the internet is bitching about, and that is there's female heads. I'll put an image on screen now. So we're going to discuss law implications, because everyone wants to bitch that it's not law relevant, as well as just generally my thoughts. So less of a law video and more of a shut up you bigoted assholes. But if you enjoyed the video, do leave a like in the down below section, whatever it's called. Also leave a comment on your thoughts and what you think of the video, and I'll be sure to read them and reply if I feel like it's necessary. So where did this all start? Well, it started probably about a year ago with a leaked entry into the Custodes Codex, where there was a culling game, or whatever it's called, I can't remember the exact name, where a female custody is attempting to assassinate the Emperor, and she fails. And that results in the first time that we ever hear or see of a female custody in 40k or 30k. And let me tell you, people are up in arms about this, saying that it's not possible for a female custody and all this other crap that just was so bigoted and stupid. Now, I can understand people being a little bit upset. Obviously, they're changing the law to an extent. Because originally it was that it is a brotherhood and the sons of the emperor, as it's said in most of the codexes up until that point. However, it is still called that, and just because something's called a brotherhood does not mean that females are not in it. Now, another argument that I've seen against female custodies is that it isn't possible because you can't genetically make a female custodies, but that's just blatantly wrong. That only applies to Space Marines, where it's directly stated that a female's biology cannot take on the changes and the new organs that are implanted at adolescence into a Space Marine. Where with the custodies, the way that they're made, and we don't actually know much about it, but we do know that they are taken at birth and genetically altered. And on top of that, the custodies need to be very, very specifically genetic when they are being taken. The best example of this is in Master of Mankind, where we actually see Constantine Valdor take a baby that ends up being Ra Endymion, because the Emperor absolutely needed him, and he was very, very specifically found and chosen to be a custodes. The same with Valdor, because their genetics allowed it. It is another reason why the custodies are so limited in comparison to the Space Marines. It's because, while a vast majority of people can adapt to the Space Marine genetics, not many people have the genetics to be able to become custodies. Which in that case, it makes perfect sense for there to be female custodies, because if a female is able to be genetically altered and become a custodes, they're not going to pass it up just because they're female. They need all the hands that they can get. Because I also think that there's another issue, and that's people thinking that it's going to be custodes with boob armor, but it's not. The 2 or 3 times that we've seen a female custodes, they've just been custodians. It doesn't change them personality-wise. They're all roughly the same. They're all standing there stone and on guard, not bullshitting around. For example, in the new Ashes of the Imperium book, we see another female custodes, and she is just doing custodian things. She's standing guard, she doesn't take jokes, she doesn't take shit. Now, I think I've made my opinion pretty clear, but if it isn't, I don't see an issue with this, because it isn't changing the custodies at a level. They're still custodies. They're still doing the same things that they've always done, praising the Emperor, standing guard for 500 years. It's not changing anything in that direction. And with the new custodes models, it's just a head swap. Yes, the armor design is different, but all of the armor is different in 30k. It's just a head swap. If you don't like the heads, don't use the heads. It's not that big of a deal. On top of this, and this is going to be my last point, Dan Abnett himself went out and said that a lot of the writers wanted to implement female custodes a lot earlier, around 2018. But one of the higher ups at GW was vastly against it, saying only men can be custodes because bigoted. Now, as I said, I don't have an issue with female custodes, but GW, if you're going to give us female custodes, can we please have more Sisters of Battle? There's only like 3 kits. I'd really love some more of them because they are badass women and people aren't going to bitch about it. Anyway, that's been my little rant. I don't think this was much of a lore video, more so just me telling anyone who hates on female custodes to shut the fuck up and just not head swap your characters if you don't like it. I don't know what to tell you, man. My name's been Elite and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.